live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Moscow to hold summit talks with President Putin with focus on boosting bilateral ties. PM Modi to receive the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, Russia's highest honor, on Tuesday. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Austria's capital Vienna after his Russia trip. PM Modi to become first Indian PM to visit Austria after a gap of over 40 years, marking 75 years of India-Austria diplomatic relations. US President Joe Biden to host NATO's 75th anniversary summit in Washington. Military and financial support for Ukraine high on the agenda. And in sports, Euro 2024 is into its final stages with just 4 teams remaining in the hunt. High voltage clash tonight as 3 times winner Spain to take on France for a spot in the finals. And on to the details now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Moscow on a 2-day visit to Russia. He was received by the first Deputy Prime Minister of Russia and accorded ceremonial welcome. He also met members of the Indian diaspora. On Tuesday, PM Modi will hold bilateral talks with President Putin. Take a look.
He arrived in Moscow to great fanfare. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was received by Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Manturov, at the Vnukovo Second Airport and was accorded a ceremonial welcome upon his arrival. After landing in Moscow, Prime Minister Modi, on a social media post, said, "Looking forward to further deepening the special and privileged strategic partnership between our nations, especially in futuristic areas of cooperation. Stronger ties between our nations will greatly benefit our people." After reaching the hotel in Moscow, Prime Minister Modi received a traditional warm welcome from the Indian diaspora. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin will engage in private talks, followed by delegation-level discussions led by both leaders. India and Russia are currently preparing a series of outcome documents across various areas, which will be a result of the summit.
Tomorrow, Prime Minister has a packed schedule. He'll be attending the 22nd Annual Summit. He will have restricted and delegation-level talks, and he will meet the Indian community. He will address the Indian community members and also visit Rosatom, an exhibition space.
The Prime Minister is also scheduled to meet with the Indian community in Russia on Tuesday and lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in the Kremlin. Additionally, a visit to the Rosatom Pavilion at the Moscow exhibition venue is on the agenda. The 22nd Annual Summit between India and Russia will provide an opportunity for both leaders to review the full spectrum of bilateral issues, including defense, trade, investment, energy cooperation, science and technology, education, culture, and people-to-people exchanges.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be accompanied by Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Atom Exhibition Center here in Moscow. Now, this exhibition center showcases the history of achievement of the Soviet Union in the nuclear industry that goes much beyond weapons and also focuses on medicines and digital industry. The two leaders will also be looking at the history of the nuclear industry from the Soviet era to the modern times and the cooperation between the two countries. The Prime Minister will also be interacting with students, both Indian and Russian, tomorrow here at this center. This is Jessica Thaneja with video journalist Shubham in Moscow for DD India.
Well, Russia is a long-standing and time-tested partner for India. Since both countries raised their partnership to a strategic partnership in October 2000, the ties have acquired a qualitatively new character. Political, security, defense, trade, science and technology, culture and people-to-people ties are the broad areas of cooperation. Mihir Maikuri reports for more.
India and Russia share a long history of cooperation that dates back decades. Russia has been a long-standing and time-tested partner to India. Development of India-Russia relations has been a key pillar of India's foreign policy. The annual summit between the Prime Minister of India and the President of the Russian Federation is the highest institutionalized dialogue mechanism in the strategic partnership between India and Russia. India and Russia share deep historical roots, significantly strengthened by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his tenure as Chief Minister of Gujarat. Now let's take a look at the growing ties between India and Russia. PM Modi's first visit to Russia on the 6th of November 2001 when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. PM Modi accompanied the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee to Moscow for India-Russia Summit with President Vladimir Putin. During this visit, the then Chief Minister Modi signed a protocol pact for cooperation between Gujarat and Astrakhan. They agreed to work together in the fields of diverse sectors including trade, education, petroleum and hydrocarbon sectors, science and technology, tourism and culture. In 2006, the then Chief Minister visited Astrakhan and met the Governor Alexander Zilkin. The protocol pact for cooperation was extended for another 5 years. In 2009, he was invited to address the 4th International Energy Week and the 9th Russian Oil and Gas Week conference. Since 2014, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has placed special emphasis on strengthening India-Russia ties, boosting relations across various sectors. 60% of trade between India and Russia is now done in national currencies. Bilateral trade is set to reach an all-time high of $65.7 billion in FY 22-23. Key exports from India include pharmaceuticals, organic chemicals and iron and steel. Major commodities imported from Russia include oil, petroleum products and fertilizers. India-Russia bilateral investments surpassed the previous target of $30 billion in 2018. The revised target of $50 billion has been set for 2025. Now let's take a look at the defense ties. Biennial joint military exercises titled Indra conducted between the armed forces of India and Russia. India holds a 2+2 dialogue with Russia involving foreign and defense ministers. Indian Army has Russian tanks like T-72 and T-90. The Indian Air Force also has variants of MiG-21, Su-30 and MiG-29 aircraft in its fleet. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has always praised PM Modi's leadership. PM Modi also calls Russia a time-tested partner. This visit has taken the ties of the two countries to a new high. Mihir Makori's report, DD India.
Well, Russian President Putin hosted private dinner for PM Modi at his country home on the outskirts of Moscow. Both the leaders got an opportunity away from the public glare to focus on more sensitive issues on the agenda. Well, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also visit Austria's capital Vienna after his Russia trip. The last time an Indian PM went to Austria was over 40 years ago, although India and Austria have been friends for 75 years with extensive trade, tech, sustainable development and people-to-people ties. The PM will also be interacting with the 31,000-strong Indian diaspora in Austria to further strengthen relations with a key European nation. DD India's Gautam Roy reports for more from Vienna.
India-Austria ties go back 75 years. They both share common values such as democratic principles and pluralism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Austria on Tuesday and Wednesday, where he'll call on President Alexander von der Bellen and hold delegation-level talks with his counterpart, Federal Chancellor Karl Nehammer. In his departure statement, the PM said, "I look forward to my discussions to take our partnership to even greater heights in new and emerging areas of innovation, technology and sustainable development, among others. Together with the Austrian Chancellor, I look forward to exchanging views with business leaders from both sides to explore mutually beneficial trade and investment opportunities." Austria has a multicultural society with over 31,000 strong Indian diaspora. The PM will also be interacting with them during his visit, which is a much-awaited event for the members of the Indian community.
Everyone is looking forward to meet Prime Minister Modi ji, and it's after a long time that an Indian Prime Minister is coming to Austria, and he has done a lot for the foreign politics, and helped a lot for the economic growth and everything. So everyone is looking forward.
Indian diaspora, especially the students and researcher, the like subgroup I belong to, is very excited for Prime Minister Modi's visit to Austria. We are looking forward to it, and I am pretty much excited to see how the socio-economical and cultural aspects play forward from this point onwards.
India and Austria have extensive relations from infrastructure, technology to sustainable development. Trade is well balanced, around $3 billion each year. Indian exports to Austria stand at $1.52 billion. Imports from Austria stand at $1.41 billion. Indian investments in Austria amount to over $1 billion. Austrian investments in India are at over $800 million. Austria offers opportunities for collaboration in multiple fields, ranging from infrastructure, renewable energy to startups. India and Austria Startup Bridge was launched in February 2024. 20 plus Indian startups went to Austria in June this year to participate in a startup event. India and Austria have also inked a landmark comprehensive migration and mobility agreement in May 2024. India and Austria have been friends for 75 years, and a gap of over 40 years will be filled by the visit of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Austria and when these two leaders meet. There's a 31,000 strong Indian community as well who've been looking forward to interact and meet the Prime Minister, and all these events will take the relationship between India and Austria forward into the future, be it in trade, tech or sustainable development. With Camera Person Pramod Negi, Gautam Roy in Vienna, Austria for DD India.
Well, India's Prime Minister is visiting Austria for 2 days starting Tuesday. It's after a gap of over 40 years that an Indian Prime Minister is touring Austria with India has multifaceted relations for the last 75 years. India's ambassador to Austria, Shambhu S. Kumaran, has told DD India's Gautam Roy that PM Modi's Vienna visit will add further dynamism to India-Austria relations while energizing the Indian diaspora in this key European nation furthermore. Take a look.
An Indian Prime Minister is visiting Austria after a gap of over 40 years, and it's also the 75th year of diplomatic ties between India and Austria. So what's on the agenda? Let's find out from Shambhu S. Kumaran, India's ambassador to Austria. Thank you for speaking to DD India. So what can you tell us about, first of all, 75 years being a major landmark, and what kind of a plan is there or an agenda is there for Prime Minister Modi in Austria?
As you said, this is a historic visit happening after 4 decades at the Prime Minister level and on the milestone year of 75 years of diplomatic relations between India and Austria. I think the visit is going to give great dynamism to this partnership. It's going to give the high-level political visibility that this relationship requires, and it's a relationship that has been performing reasonably well. And with this visit, we expect it to gain dynamism and content.
And can you tell us about what is the level of cooperation that India and Austria already have, and where do you see it going in the coming years as well in terms of the various aspects of it, trade, business, even security for that matter, and sustainable development?
Well, the visit obviously has a strong focus, as you say, on the economic cooperation between our countries. There are Indian companies that are operating in Austria, and there are several Austrian companies operating in India. And as part of the program, there will be an interaction with Indian and Austrian CEOs to try and see how we can move this partnership forward, especially in niche technologies, clean technologies, and also in terms of bringing some of our startups together in innovative new partnerships. The idea is that Austrian technology fundamentally can be an important partner for India in our efforts to gain Viksit Bharat. And I think that there is a good groundwork has already been laid, and what we need is a quantum leap in this partnership, and this is what I think this visit will succeed in doing.
And whenever Prime Minister Modi travels abroad himself, the Indian diaspora is an intrinsic part of those visits as well. So what can we expect in Vienna?
Well, as you would expect, there's great enthusiasm and excitement among the Indian community here. The Prime Minister is going to address them during his visit, and I think this will be one of the highlights of the visit here.
Thank you for speaking to DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Major flooding and road closures as Hurricane Beryl lashes Texas, causing further damage to life and property. IMD issues red alert for Mumbai as Maharashtra braces for severe weather, schools closed in multiple districts. And in tennis, Novak Djokovic advances to Wimbledon Open quarter-finals.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, the NATO Summit starts in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, with heads of state from 32 member nations and other partners gathering to discuss defense strategy. It's a historic summit, 75 years since the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was formed in the aftermath of World War II. The war in Ukraine is top of the agenda, with a wider threat of Russia as it gets more support from the likes of China and North Korea being of increasing concern. DD India's Caroline Malone reports for more from Washington.
The fighting rages on in Ukraine 2.5 years since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. A war that's now killed hundreds of thousands of people and created wider insecurity. As the leaders of 32 NATO countries and their partners meet in the US capital, Ukraine continues to push for membership.
The alliance will agree on a bridge to membership for Ukraine into NATO. What this means is that Ukraine will continue making the reforms that it needs to make and that it is committed to make as part of its annual plan with NATO, as well as with other agreements, and that in that context we see its movement toward the alliance as is irreversible, effectively.
US officials have said there will be sessions with partners Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand to discuss the support Russia gets from Iran, North Korea and China.
Some think that NATO should have a presence in the Indo-Pacific to really push back against Chinese aggression and Chinese expansionism, while some people think that NATO should focus closer to home, get the Russia threat right first, figure out how to not just spend more on defense, but spend in a way that is efficient and in a way that allows for more continuity between various regions within the NATO alliance.
There is widespread understanding that Ukraine does need more support, additional air defences, as well as billions of dollars in weapons already sent by individual NATO countries. On Tuesday evening, NATO members will gather at a commemoration event to mark 75 years since the end of World War II and 12 allies signing a transatlantic agreement.
We will now proceed to the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty.
Well, during the summit, NATO will officially welcome Sweden as its newest member, bringing their total numbers to 32. At least 23 of those members have already committed at least 2% of their GDP on defence. That's a huge increase from previous years and a show of a united front against Russia's progression. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
Well, an update on Beryl now. At least 3 people have died in Texas as Hurricane Beryl pummeled the Gulf Coast on Monday, including a police officer on his way to work. Beryl brought heavy rainfall, damaging winds and life-threatening storm surge to the state and left more than 2 million customers without power. Tony Waterman has more from Texas. Take a look.
Now that Beryl is tracking north, officials along the Gulf Coast can really start to assess how extensive the damage is. The storm brought torrential rain to the Houston area, 25 centimeters falling in some areas, which is more than a month's worth of rain. And this was compounded by dangerous storm surge, strong winds bringing that ocean water right on shore. And in fact, near the port of Houston, the water level swelled to more than 3 meters above normal. Only the second time that has happened. And streets were completely flooded. Homes were flooded as well, and a number of people had to be rescued. When Beryl hit the Gulf Coast early on Monday morning, it was a Category 1 hurricane with wind gusts of up to 150 kilometers per hour. This brought down power lines and trees. At least 2 people were killed in separate incidents when trees fell through their homes as they were trying to ride the storm out. Other injuries have also been reported, but really of paramount importance right now is restoring power. This is crucial for health and safety, especially in the summer heat. Temperatures in Houston are forecast to reach the mid-30s this week, which could pose a new danger to residents. Beryl is now making its way north as a much weaker storm, but it is just the first in what meteorologists are expecting to be an extraordinary hurricane season. They are predicting up to 13 Atlantic hurricanes this year as water temperatures sit at record highs. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Well, heavy rain lashed several parts of India's western state of Maharashtra's Mumbai city on Tuesday. India Meteorological Department issued a high tide alert in Mumbai following incessant heavy rainfall. Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation has declared a holiday in all schools and colleges in its jurisdiction in view of the heavy rain warning in the region. The decision came after seeing the roads and locality inundated with rainwater. IMD has predicted heavy rainfall at isolated places in Mumbai till 12th of July. Well, the ongoing European Championship comes to its final stages as 3-time winner Spain will take on France in the Euro 2024 semi-finals tonight in Munich. Both of the past 2 explosive tournament matches between Spain and France have distinctly felt like a battle for the very soul of football was taking place. And it will be no different when they meet tonight. However, goal-shy France will be looking to silence the critics as they have come under fire from fans for a string of unimpressive performances, having reached the last 4 without scoring a single goal in open play. Meanwhile, their opponents will hope to keep their impressive campaign going even without midfielder Pedri and Dan Carvajal. And ahead of the Paris Games, Athletics Federation of India's President Adil Samavila had an exclusive conversation with India's Deepika Mehto and talked about India's contingent at Paris Games and his expectations from the current athletics squad. Take a look.
FI President Dr. Adil Samavila, who needs no introduction, he's been working a lot in, uplifting the level of sports across the country, and we've seen the result in the last Olympic also. So when we talk about Neeraj Chopra, we are always reminded of the fact when we talk about upcoming Olympics, talking about the kind of athletes that we are witnessing right now. We just talked about Avinash Sable and other athletes. What are your expectations from the level of athletes, from the quality athletes that we have in the current contingent?
Well, we have very, very good athletes in the current contingent. At least 12 of them qualified directly, so those people will probably be able to fight hard to be in the top 8 and be in the finals. The rest have qualified on ranking system. I'd be very happy if all of them can do their personal best, break national records or Asian records, and then see what happens from there, whether they can win medals, not win medals. The important thing is, can you perform your best? And if you perform your best, I am happy.
This is what the minister has also been saying, that participating is more important, and the government also has been doing a lot in uplifting the status of sports. What, according to you, made a greater change in bringing a 30 number of athletes to this Olympic contingent this time?
No, the important thing is not participating. The important thing is to participate and do your best. You must repeat your best performance. Just participating, I'm not happy with. So you must go there and do your best performance. Number one. Number two, the government is given all the support. through whichever scheme, whether it's Top Scheme, Mission Olympic Cell, ACTC, they've given them foreign coaches, they've given them foreign exposure, they've given them foreign sports scientists, they've given them everything. Now we are supporting them, we've given them what they want. It's their time now to go there and repeat the best performance, and if they do that, I'm very happy.
What is your ultimate message to all the participants?
Enjoy yourself, go there, have fun, but make sure before all of that, you perform, focus, perform, just better your best, that's it.
All right, so there you heard Mr. Adil Sumrewala, who says that focus, perform and do your best. That has to be the mantra for the upcoming Paris Olympics. With camera person Mahesh, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from New Delhi.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.